Thank you so much for having me here today. This is such a privilege and an honor to be here with you for a second year in a row. I wanna first thank Bishop Gonzalez for really opening this beautiful house, this amazing church, this amazing congregation, for everything you've been doing, really. And I look forward to the opportunity when I could reciprocate in the house of the Lord back in Jerusalem. So you tell us when. Now you know that when you come to Jerusalem, it is an act of leadership. And following you, you have to bring your entire congregation. All in favor say aye. All against say nay. Pass the flying colors. I would also like to take this opportunity and thank my dear friend Peggy. You have, as always, outperformed my bio right here, and I really appreciate it. I wish my mother could see this. But you have forgotten one real big achievement and claim to fame of mine since I arrived right here, which is that I'm the first, and maybe the only, actually the only ever Israeli Consul General in the history of the State of Israel that has witnessed the Cubs win the World Series. Please, thank you. Now, a lot of Cubs fans here. In the sake of bipartisanship, I want to say that I also had the honor and opportunity to pitch a first pitch at a White Sox game. All three of you did. I knew I had to include all three of you too. I really want to say that I'm honored to be the guest speaker at this superb event with so many pro-Israel advocates for the second year in a row. And this year, my friends, is especially significant for the State of Israel for a few reasons. First of all, this year we celebrate 7 decades of the return of the Jewish people to their ancestors' homeland, thus celebrating 70 years of independence to the modern State of Israel. Thank you. Secondly, in the past year, and we have just discussed that a couple of minutes ago, the connection between Israel and the Midwest, the 9 states that took me about 6 months to learn all of them by heart, but the 9 states that I cover has grown stronger than ever, including 5 Midwestern governors that have arrived to Israel, leading delegations of 50, usually businessmen and people that are joining, which was unbelievable. And thirdly, and this is my favorite, for the first time in the history of the State of Israel, this year is the first year when we have the American Embassy located officially in our undivided capital exclusively. Thank you. Thank you, America. Thank you, America. What a message to the world. What a message. This is true leadership. Thank you. Thank you all. Now, Peggy has began talking about miracles, and I agree with her 100%. I think that by definition, a miracle is a surprising and a welcome event that is not explicable by natural or scientific laws, and is therefore considered to be the work of divine intervention. What is more natural to talk about divine intervention? And that song that you have just sung over here is just amazing. It talks exactly about the divine intervention and the fact that the Lord works in mysterious ways. Indeed, we really live in time of miracles. Think about it. For the first time in great many centuries, the vast majority of Jews in the world live in freedom. That is truly a miracle. Amen. The emergence of the survivors from the Holocaust and their clinging to life, like you said, Peggy, by returning to the homeland is nothing short than a miracle. The triumph of 1948 against all odds, and later on in 1967 and 1973, and then many more triumphs that occurred there were miraculous and unbelievable. And the startup nation that sprang out of Israel, with the valuable life-changing social innovation coming from it, is truly mind-boggling, and at itself is nothing short than a miracle. Think of what Peggy just said a couple of minutes ago. The revival of the Hebrew language. The mere fact that we in Israel are communicating today in Israel in the language that was spoken in that land 3,000 years ago. That's generally ungraspable if you think about it. And finally, our relationship with our closest friend and ally that shares our common values and our common beliefs. The United States of America is nothing short of a miracle for Israel. But here's the point that I want to add, Peggy, to what you said. While there's definitely proof of divine intervention in our story, miracles, they don't just happen. They're amplified and they're stimulated by people who decide to defy all odds and to stand up to make a difference. The outstanding achievements of Israel in its 70 years, together with the courage, wisdom, and creativity of our supporters, gave birth to one clear conclusion. Israel has the strength to reach great prosperity and to become an exemplary state as commanded to us by our prophets. However, that comes with an important requirement that we will all be active participants in this amazing journey. And I'm not talking just about the leadership, just about the governors, just about the president, administration, and amazing people like your ambassador to the United Nations, Ambassador Nikki Haley. I am actually saying that each and every one of us, all the ordinary people, like me and you, we all have a role in this vision and in the implementation of this miracle that Peggy was talking about. My friends, the Midwest and the Midwest friends of ours has demonstrated great leadership in the miracle by enhancing the win-win U.S.-Israel relationship. And with just examples that happened just recently, one of which is in the social innovation arena, for example. Illinois has recently implemented an Israeli model of treating victims of terror to treat victims of gun violence on Chicago's South Side. During a trip to Israel, a good friend of mine, Pastor Chris Harris from Bronxville, has visited Natal, one of Israel's leading trauma centers, and he recognized an opportunity to replicate Israel's success in PTSD treatment to improve lives right here in the great city of Chicago. Isn't that an amazing example of how we could work? But it doesn't stop there. In the public safety arena, the Illinois National Guard and the Indiana National Guard both have partnership with Israel's Homefront Command, and they are working together on life-saving tactics such as urban search and rescue strategies. Another amazing life-saving opportunity that works together between the two countries. Business exchange, of course. Currently, many Israeli companies that have operations in the Midwest and many Midwestern companies that have operations in Israel. One of these great companies I've just visited last week plays a role in saving lives and preventing war. This company, RH2, right here in Illinois, not far from here, produces parts for Israeli companies that provide for the Iron Dome Israel defense missile defense system. Unbelievable. So it is pretty apparent that there are many active players that are contributing to the miracle of Israel, and that these individuals are on the one hand dreamers and believers, but on the other hand pragmatists that get things done. Let us remember how miraculous it is that Jews have returned to the homeland after 3,000 years, and let us make a difference by writing the next chapter of the miracle called the State of Israel together. Tonight, my friends, your message of support and your message of friendship in our shared miracle is not taken for granted and is heard loud and clear back in Jerusalem. And I want to thank you on behalf of the Prime Minister of Israel. I want to thank you on behalf of the people of Israel. I want to, most importantly, thank you on behalf of the people of Israel. Thank you very much. God bless America. God bless Israel. God bless all of you. Thank you very much.